In this video, change of plans. Disney now officially pulls back on the Avatar going into California adventure. Yesterday, we heard Imagineer Chris Beatty reports that he was saying that at the IAAPA convention that this is going into DCA. Now we're hearing Disney officially saying, well, not so fast, everybody. So there's a lot to discuss. This is getting really, really weird, y'all. We're going to break that down. We have a few other things we're also going to talk about in this episode of Orange Grove 55. Welcome aboard, everybody, to another episode of OG55. We have a stacked panel today. We got the boys from the Bad Thoughts podcast. We got Slimer, and of course, we got the Italiano in the house today talking Avatar at DCA, or maybe not DCA. We'll see. We're going to talk about some changes going on with the animation building and the Imagination campus moving in, all kinds of crazy stuff. But before we get started, I want to introduce my fantastic panel. The Italiano, Citrus George, if you could let everybody at home know where they can find you on social media, sir.
Absolutely. You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You can now also find me on Instagram under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you'll find me here on my home base at Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner, with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info.
There we go. There we go. Thank you, sir, for here. I'll chime you in. There we go. And right next to him, we have the one, the only Slimer. Welcome back, Slimer.
Hey, thanks very much, OG. Glad to be back.
Perfect. And, you know, when we have Slimer on, because you don't have social media, Slimer, so we got to do something for you. So here we go.
And all these dollars got commas that come with commas behind them. And all my slammers be slamming. And all my slammers be slamming. And all my slammers be slamming. And all my slammers be slamming.
There we go. Slimer is officially clocked in. Here we go. All right. And down right below, we got Tonez, the one and only Tonez, a host on the Bad Thoughts podcast. Tonez, welcome back, brother.
Thanks for having me, as always. Love being here.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure, brother. If you could let everybody home know where they can find you on social media, sir.
Yeah, you can find me at Tonez_TV on all platforms. And don't forget to follow the podcast on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, Bad Thoughts Podcast.
You heard the man. Go follow them. Subscribe to them right now, all platforms. Right next to him, his co-host of the Bad Thoughts podcast, the one and only Candid Camper. Welcome back, brother.
Thank you. Like always, man, it's a blessing to be here, especially being on this show. It's always the coolest thing. It's always been a dream, and here we are. So, okay, go ahead. I know.
I was just saying, it's always a pleasure having you on, sir. Thank you so much for coming on. Yeah, if you let everybody home know where they can find you on social media.
Definitely. You can find me at the Candid Camper on all platforms. Except Instagram has an extra R at the end of Camper. And then you can find us on Spotify at the Bad Thoughts Podcast.
There we go. Thank you so much, sir. I'll chime you in. Here we go. All right, so let's dive into this, man, because there is so much going on here. Actually, you know what? I'm actually going to present my screen to you guys, and we're going to talk about this. Okay, this is from the one and only Scott Gustin. Fantastic source of information for all things Disney or really theme parks or entertainment. Scott here says, update. Disneyland official has reached out earlier today to say there was no announcement made on behalf of the Disneyland Resort regarding the location of the Avatar experience. It's unclear exactly what was said during that panel or if someone misspoke or someone misheard. Now, George, I'll start with you. Mm-hmm. This is extremely weird because supposedly Imagineer Chris Beatty is the one who said this. Now, Chris Beatty is not some like intern over there at WDI. Okay?
He's legit.
He's up there on that food chain. He knows where this thing is going. And for him to say it, I don't care what Disney says, it's probably going into DCA. What are your thoughts, George?
Well, kind of speaking of just Chris Beatty as an Imagineer of how he kind of operates, I was present at the D23 Expo when he was on stage with Josh Damaro, and Josh was kind of like pushing at him to kind of show the concept art for what he had in mind for Animal Kingdom and the Beyond Big Thunder at Magic Kingdom, and he was kind of a little bit reserved about it. He was like, "Are you sure that I can show this now? You know, I want to make sure I still have a job on Monday," sort of thing. So he's very reserved and content about like how much he can say and show. So for him to actually say something of this, I still feel that somebody even higher had told him to maybe possibly leak it. And I still feel like that if that is what he said, it's going to go in DCA, and Disney's trying to cover up a little bit because they weren't anticipating on maybe a possible leak. But what I find it kind of interesting, now that I'm actually looking at this message from Scott, it's saying a Disneyland official.
Right.
It's not necessarily saying Imagineering.
No.
And I know that these are still like official. It's someone official in Disneyland. But when you have somebody in Imagineering that could potentially leak something, and then you have an official at Disneyland, that could be them saying, you know what, we didn't get any word on it from Imagineering specifically, because it has to go down that chain, so to speak, that it's like once it does get officially greenlit, they have to have their bigger meetings to say, okay, this is where it's going here. So it could potentially be that Disneyland right now doesn't necessarily know, but WDI does.
Well, here's the other thing, and you brought this, you kind of put this into my mind right now when you said that they leaked it, right? Imagineering. In the 90s, when our submarine voyage was closed, Tony Baxter, I believe it was Tony Baxter, put and some Imagineers, they put a sign or a vinyl like covering over the submarines in the lagoon saying Atlantis Expedition. And that was not something that they were supposed to do. It was Imagineering sort of trying to put pressure on Disney to make that attraction into an Atlantis ride. Is it possible that this is some sort of activism from WDI where maybe they don't like the idea of it going into DCA, so they're putting it out there to get some sort of anger from the community? So people not fight back, but they get upset, and Disney reconsiders.
And it's even like with Figment, you know, Disney leaked out little videos of Figment going around different various locations of the company up at the Walt Disney Studios, walking into Imagineering, you know, so it's like, it almost seems like everything's like kind of coming out at once without it actually saying specifically what it's about. Right. And I think that's possibly WDI kind of lighting a fire under the bigwigs of the company to say, you know what, like we prefer it this way, or let's try to get something out, you know, let's do something. Because it's all this what if crap.
Now, Candid, you're shaking your head. What are your thoughts? You have a lot on your mind with this one. I want to hear what you have to say.
So first off, Scott's great. We all know that he comes out with a lot of stuff. But at the same time, why is it coming from Scott instead of an official person tweeting it out? That's always my skepticism behind things. If Disney really cared, they would have posted it out there. Number one. Number two, I mean, if they're walking around with Figment, putting Figment around, and they put those signs on things, that one person leaking that little thing, you really think that's on purpose? I don't see them doing it that way. I think they would have been more elaborate, especially coming from that team. If they were the ones to leak it, they would have made some kind of weird something happen somewhere.
So you think that you're calling BS on this? You don't think that this is necessarily the plan?
Yeah, I don't think it was planned. I do think that. I don't think it's going to go in California Adventure at all. Doesn't make sense. And I don't think that... I think that it was a big deal. If it was a big deal, it would have been brought out by Disney, and they would have said, we messed up somewhere. They're not going to lie to your face and then turn around and still put in DCA.
That's a great point, right? Because now what happens if in 6 months from now or at the D23 Expo, they say, guess what? We're doing Pandora and DCA. Now they look like liars.
Exactly. And that's not what they want. And the only other thing I can say about all this is that I am happy that it's confirmed a little bit more that we are getting this Avatar thing. Like I like that we're kind of still moving in that way. Like it's not scrapped. It's on the books for sure. It's just how much money we can throw to it. And this is what scares me. When you start hearing DCA, we all know how DCA has been the last couple of years with money. And I just hope James Cameron has a lot of say in this, where he himself will throw some money at it if he needs to, just to make sure that it is an actual experience for the guests.
Yeah, that's a huge factor. It's the Cameron factor. It's like with Universal and J.K. Rowling. They can't just throw something together with Harry Potter. She's watching them, and I think Cameron's gonna be watching Disney. They're gonna, as he should.
Baby.
Exactly. He absolutely should, and I hope he does, because he's going to demand a certain level of quality. Slimer, what are you? I know you're more of a Walt Disney World guy, but what are your thoughts on this?
Well, my first thought on this is I think we can all agree that the Imagineers are the bad boys of the Disney company.
Yeah.
Yeah, spiking the punk juice at the party sounds like. It sounds like they're those kinds of people too, right? I mean, they've always been early to spoil announcements. They've been pretty notorious for this for the longest time. Do I think that it was done on purpose? I mean, who's to really say? But the can's been opened at this point, and now what I think Disney has to really take into consideration and act on is the time frame of an official announcement. We have Thanksgiving coming up, we have Christmas coming up. If they are going to make an official announcement, to me, it seems like a Thanksgiving or December announcement would probably make the most sense and be the most beneficial for the company, because now that the cat's out of the bag, people are going to want to hear from it officially. And if this thing, if this news stays dormant from WDI or Disneyland or Josh Tomorrow for too long, then it's just people are going to forget about it easily. It's going to lose momentum. And if I were Disney, I would try to capitalize on the momentum right now, whether it's an official announcement or whether something slipped or whether it's going to go to Fantasyland. They need to capitalize and they need to do it soon. And I would try to put Thanksgiving or December as a target date.
I think you're right, Slimer, on that, because I've been really critical right now of Disney's handling of this, because with the whole Avatar thing is that they're giving us like literally no information. We get this vague ass experience word that people are latching onto and all that. So people there's the narrative on social media is that this thing is like going to be cheap and half baked, right? If I'm Disney, I don't want that out there. Like they need to nip, right? They need to nip that in the bud. If this is going to be a full blown Pandora, you say that's what this is going to be, and we haven't decided which park yet, or maybe we have, and this is the park we're putting it in. We'll give you concept art at D23, but they have to set some sort of expectation here, because the fan narratives out there are not good. It's like, oh yeah, we're just going to slap a few things over there on Grizzly Peak, or we're just going to slap a few things over here into the freaking old buildings in Hollywood land or something. Yeah. Everyone's talking like cheap and like kind of this budgeted thing. It's like they got to gain control of that narrative. Now, Tonez, you've been to Cali Adventure. What are your thoughts, man? Like Pandora, do you see that being a viable option for that park, or is that a little too weird, a little too much of a stretch?
I mean, from what I've seen of Pandora, I personally have not been to. I haven't seen it personally. Yeah. But for it to be in, so I kind of have a question for you guys. Is it more of the location of the is that more of the problem of where the I guess Pandora or where the Avatar location is going to be? Is that the bigger problem, or the announcement of what is going to be there?
I think the bigger problem is just, I mean, if it goes in there, it is what it is, but I think it's just putting it in DCA in general.
Yeah.
I just don't feel like it fits well with anything that's currently in that park. So, and I know one can actually argue to say, you know what, Star Wars is in Disneyland. How could that fit? That may be true, but I mean, when you have a specific type of theme that California Adventure holds as far as relating to the state itself, where
they lost that dude a long time ago.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, you still have qualities of California. You have Cars Land that can still represent for Route 66.
Buena Vista Street, which is Los Angeles.
Exactly. You still have Grizzly Peak that is Northern California. You still have implementation where they may be using IPs, but I could still feel that somewhat of a California adventure quality. Now, when you throw something in of Pandora that has literally nothing, so you just have literally one land that has no representation of California whatsoever. So now that beckons the question: are they going to be dropping the California title in the park?
Well, yeah, and Disneyland, I'm pretty forgiving with what they do with it. Like, I think Star Wars fits beautifully in Disneyland. I made this case before, but it's like Star Wars is one of those properties. It's fantasy, but it's also kind of a Western, right? It has a lot of it has a lot of elements in that franchise that kind of play to Disneyland quite a bit.
Can I ask something real quick?
Sure.
So, in kind of like almost like a poll, in my opinion, do you think they put this kind of news out just to see what kind of feedback they would get?
That's what I told OG yesterday. I actually said the same exact thing to him yesterday. Is it possible that Disney may want to see guests' reaction of how they kind of do those surveys after you go to a park or you go to a restaurant, or they may want to kind of dip their toes in the sense to see guests' reaction?
Because that's what it kind of seems like they're doing because of the pullback that they got from that tweet that you just showed, that there's no official announcement, but the first announcement kind of seemed pretty legit, right?
Which actually is kind of funny because I was expecting a lot of people to have more pushback.
So
rather than people actually saying that, you know what, oh, this sucks, like this isn't going to work, that, you know, this is it actually created sort of this conversation of, okay, where is it going to go? So it's almost like that fans didn't really have too much of an issue with it.
You know what I can say too is sightline wise, in DCA, if you just throw that, if they wanted to go, you know, based off the first movie, they wanted to throw big old mountains and stuff, they can kind of get away with it in DCA. Where Disneyland, it has to be all levels so you can see the castle, you have to see the mountains. I just think the floating mountains wouldn't do as well in Disneyland if they're going to go that route. But I like the idea of the way of water.
I actually thought it would be the opposite. As far no. Let me rephrase that. I'm sorry. I agree with you of that notion in Disneyland, but to just place it in DCA, I feel like the sight lines, if they were to do the floating mountains, it would still have that same impact.
It would have to be a corner,
unless unless that they were to utilize like the Disneyland Forward notion, where it would take part of that parking lot. It would be kind of separate from everything else.
And see that, and that's an awesome spot for it. But you know how I feel about that space already.
Of course, yes.
now we've been talking a little bit in the DMs. Like, Candid, what are your thoughts on them? Because one of the ideas that friend of the channel Peter from Ordinary Avengers kind of threw out there on Twitter was why don't they retheme Grizzly Peak area to Avatar? So you could take the Soarin' attraction, which is pretty popular, it'd be kind of a risky move, but you can turn that into like a flight of passage, and then you can turn the raft ride into like the Navi River thing, right, with the bioluminescent caves and all that. You kind of have like with around Soarin', you kind of have like almost like a military kind of vibe there already. It could be like this encampment. You know, it's very Avatar-ish. I can definitely see them being able to transition it. Does it work? And if it works, what does it do to the hotel though?
So I came up with that same plan before I read his tweet. So we'll take it. We'll call dittos on that. The Pokemon. But I thought the same thing. Flight of Passage, kind of, and that it's just use the same ride vehicle, make it a new screen. That whole queue is massive. So they can do a whole military base or weird whatever the hell they want to do. So it'll work out. And then you have that restaurant right next door. Turn that into Pongu Juice Central. Who cares what it's called? That whole little section could be some kind of ways of water type thing, so they don't have to put all the trees and all that crap there, and then it just stops. That's it, because there's still more room back there. I don't know if you have the map for that little area, but there's a lot more room where you, like, I guess you can go backstage. And remember they had that little plane where you could do the Goofy, or not Goofy, Minnie and Mickey area. That's all basically grass until you hit the hotel. But I can't see them doing anything to the hotel unless they're putting giant trees in front of it and kind of hiding it and blocking it. But then you're kind of take away for those people that are spending thousands of dollars to look into the park at night.
Okay. And I'm gonna throw some pushback because
know it, George.
Okay, so my issue with Pandora taking the place of Grizzly Peak. One, I enjoy Grizzly Peak of how it is. First of all, this is just my own personal feeling.
It's beautiful, by the way.
I love
It's gorgeous.
that Northern California kind of woodsy pine feel adjacent to the Grand Californian. The Grand Californian is gorgeous in its own right, and how they have it connected, it transitions well right into the park. Second of all, with Grizzly River Run, you then have a gigantic grizzly-shaped rock work that literally has nothing to fucking do with Pandora.
That would change. They would alter that.
I thought it was go ahead. Sorry.
Oh,
I thought it was a wolf for like years. By the way,
that's funny. No, I think that would change like Splash Mountain is changing for Tiana's. Obviously, it would have to for.
So I mean, now, as I said, is it possible? Yeah, anything of Disney is possible. So it's not. So when I say that, it's not that it's impossible. It's I don't know if. Well, I'll get to that part later. But anyway, as far as with Soarin', now I could be wrong, but the size of the building of Soarin' is smaller than the show building for Flight of Passage. Because if I'm not mistaken, there are multiple levels higher than where Soarin' is that they would have to reconstruct. So basically, they would have to. They would have to. What's that?
It wouldn't be that ride. They would still use the same show buildings, same ride vehicles. They would just retrofit it as Avatar. It's an experience. It's not a whole new attraction. I think that's the route they're going.
So wait, so you're saying to still use like the hand gliding?
Everything the same.
See, okay. So you just actually helped my argument there. So anyway, so again, you're then reskinning these two attractions, and you're just throwing Avatar IP.
You're so shocked by that.
And going, well, here's why. If it was just Disney, I would say yes. When you're going to tie James Cameron into this shit, he is not going to go for that.
That's where, I agree. I mean, I think that they're looking at San Francisco and they're going, okay, this thing made a boatload of money for the retheme, and that's fine. And I would agree with you, George. If it was any other franchise, it was a Disney thing. Yeah, I think James Cameron's going to be at issue, though, just kind of like plopping something together.
Can you like literally picture that meeting, Disney going in and saying, okay, here's Grizzly River Run, here's Soarin'. We are keeping exactly the way the rides are, and we're just going to throw in the Na'vi, and we're going to call it a day.
Hey, what if we're looking at it all the wrong way this whole time? Can I be on record for this, just in case this is real?
Yeah.
What if this whole time World of Color was going to be the experience? James Cameron was going to film this brand new World of Color just based off of Avatar: Way of the Water in 3D.
Oh, that's trippy.
Fuck.
That's trippy. That's crazy. That would be crazy. I would support that. I mean, I would.
Where,
that would be pretty cool.
Where were you last night when we were talking about drugs?
Okay. Honestly, I would support that just as much as I support Zootopia going into the fucking Tree of Life.
I still can't, like, there's nothing in my head that says that's okay. Not even 1% is okay with that. It's weird.
It's crazy. Let's dive into this video this is Five Fires. We got Mondo and Danny. They kind of break this down. We'll kind of watch them a little bit, and we'll kind of break it down along the way. This is really good stuff here.
Like bungalow arts and crafts, which is, an architecture style that was born and developed and, had its renaissance in California. That's why that's there. So I don't know, but I wanted to show really quick too, Mondo, just for the purpose of the Google Maps one, if you could pull that up.
Yep, got it right here. Go to that same area.
No, so zoom in right there, literally right there, where your cursor is, but not right there. No, out a little bit more.
No, to the left, my left, your left.
Move it down a little bit, like the other way, so that you can see the bus area.
At this point.
Now, the reason why I want to play this part is this is actually George's idea. See, this is actually what we're looking at here. You can see the Monsters Inc. right here. Monsters Inc. Sully to the rescue, right? So this is where DCA ends. This is the bus transportation loading spot. Now, this spot right here has been rumored to be DCA expansion. Right. When they do that Disneyland Forward stuff and they build a new parking structure off of Harbor, This is supposed to become DCA. That's the rumor. So there's a lot of space here. So if you were to, like, George's idea was take some of this, like you can take Monsters Inc., you can take the building next to it and all of this, and you can build a decent size Pandora. But let's see what they say.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't think
So
of that.
back in the day, way back in the day, and I don't even remember who was the one that reported this. I want to say like it was Mice Chat or something, one of those Mice Age articles that they had posted. But like the Avengers Campus idea wasn't like a super new idea. It had been talked about before, and they were going to utilize the Hollywood land space in addition to that whole bus space. And Disney California Adventure would kind of grow outward, and the parking structure was going to be built behind all those hotels, and that bridge that crossed over harbor would kind of like stay on the outside of the land and pop guests into the Esplanade that already had gone through security because they're, they had already scanned and walked through. So you can see right there that parking lot that's right there where the IHOP logo is located. Is that where the hotel's at? Where's the hotel it's right there. The strip right there. It's above the Tropicana. It's above the Tropicana. So if you keep going up, right there, that strip of parking lot.
Yep.
On the top left.
Yep. Right here.
Yeah, that was the old Carousel Inn that they demolished to build the bridge that they never ended up doing. So that was where it would have crossed over to Disneyland.
So that's kind of what they were saying. That's kind of what that's what George was saying yesterday is sort of, because then it makes sense, right? Because if you're entering Pandora through Hollywoodland, that makes a little more sense. It's a Hollywood property.
But George is forgetting, what are we gonna do with Avatar? Or excuse me, what are we gonna do with Marvel?
Fuck
Why
Marvel.
would we? Oh yeah, fuck the billions of dollars that's gonna generate. Even the shittiest fucking show's still gonna bring in more money.
I mean,
Not
even
really.
at this point, Disney's saying "fuck Marvel." So
It sounds like it. It really does.
Okay,
True.
so Candid, to your point though, in all seriousness, I just don't really feel like Marvel is going to be on the front end of Avatar because of the notion that we're still waiting on more info on this fucking e-ticket. Just an e-ticket alone, just one attraction that was supposed to already be added to Avengers Campus, and we still didn't get really anything on it except a little piece of extra concept art in the ride vehicle at the Destination D 23 event. And now they're leaking more of Avatar, so it almost seems like Disney has more faith in the Avatar franchise than Marvel is right now. And Slimer, you were telling me before we started recording that they dropped Captain America, I believe.
yeah, so all the YouTubers right now are saying that Captain America 4 has been canceled, and that's based off of the test screening reactions and the box office for the Marvels. So I wouldn't be surprised at this point if Disney just puts Marvel on ice completely until Deadpool comes out, and then after that they reconvene and then figure out where they want to take Marvel from there. Because I mean, this is
Ruined right now.
And that's going to be, and honestly, if you stretch that all the way back to where the bus station is on top of Hollywoodland right now, adding it into where Mission Breakout is and Avengers Campus is South, that is like, I mean Disney can do it, but that's one fucking massive land, literally from stem to stern. Like, what more can they really put in for Marvel that's more relevant now that could
It'd be
potentially?
Minilands.
Well, not only that, but like OG was saying the other night, I mean, how much further do they want to invest in the MCU if the MCU right now is not in a really
That's
good
why I don't
spot?
think they're going
And
to
we
do it.
wouldn't. And that's the thing.
Yeah.
We wouldn't. They wouldn't. It would be stop where we're at, go back to the OG movies, and just bank off that shit. Bank off your Hulk. Bank off your Captain Americas. Bank off your Iron Mans. You don't need to do all the extra bullshit because no one gives a fuck about it. Obviously, the last thing I think they would do is they would go past Ant-Man and Wasp.
But that's what the e-ticket is all about. They gave us this big piece of concept art with fucking King
and
Thanos.
where is that going to go? They're going to keep it in this little condensed spot. They're going to have to fly that bitch all the way around that park.
Not
Especially if
really,
it's gonna be a
no,
big-ass
because
park.
they already have the space for the e-ticket.
That's behind it, right?
Right. It's actually in Avengers Campus as we speak. It's just sitting there. The
I
building's
thought it was
just
behind
in.
the
No, the
building.
building. No, the building is sitting there. It is like it was supposed to open with.
Impressive.
Well, no, I take that back. It was supposed to open a little bit later, after Web Slingers, but because of 2020 and everything, it got shelved. Then they reconfigured that something with the budget of. It was supposed to. The seats were supposed to disconnect and everyone kind of go their own separate ways and everything, which I think that would have been pretty badass. I would have loved to see that.
Yeah.
And then they kind of moved into this kind of Back to the Future / Transformers kind of ride where everybody is. And then they confirmed at Destination D that, okay, you're going to start on the ground and then it's going to then become a flying motion or what have you. But the building itself for that, I believe isn't it OG behind
it's partly there. It's partly there. So the building that you have with the big Avengers A and the Quinjet on top, that's sort of like that's the gift shop building that they built for the e-ticket. But the e-ticket itself will be behind Mission Breakout.
Which was the extra space that was actually saved for Cars Land.
Right. I believe so. Yeah.
Would
and
you
there's
rather
2 acres.
Would you rather see a Cars Land expansion than this e-ticket?
I'd rather see the e-ticket. I think Marvel has way more potential with what they can do and expand. And that was my big issue with Bugs Land. I had no issue with Bugs Land per se, but you don't have the potential going forward with that property. With Marvel, it's endless.
Wait, OG. I just have to reconfirm this with you. So what you're saying is you're okay with them taking a Bugs Land out?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not. I
get out.
Marvel.
Get out right now.
Poor Heimlich. What's your thoughts about them just saying, screw it, we're still giving you e-ticket, but we're going to give you the Guardians of the Galaxy, same exact track, same exact everything, but just a different show or a different theme?
That'd be interesting.
Two Guardians?
It wouldn't be Guardians, though. It would still be...
Oh, I see what you're saying. So same
layout,
right.
same track.
Okay. Now that's interesting. I actually think that'd probably be the smart route to go, because I think that they're just kind of waiting this thing out, waiting for something to happen, that I think eventually, they're just going to say, fuck it, let's use the same track, the same ride system, but put a different storyline to it.
Tron. It's a big-ass ride. I doubt that'd fit right there. But same thing, using the Tron track, same exact layout again for the 8th time, but just theming it.
Put Tron...
as the Avengers e-ticket ride, but just theme it as Avengers instead of Tron.
You know, there was actually a concept at Disney, believe it or not, years ago, to use the same ride system as Tron, like the vehicles, the motorcycles, but it was going to be Captain America.
See?
So you're not too far off.
Yeah.
Now, it would have to, obviously, they would have to work on the layout, because the Tron ride in Florida is way too big. Yeah. But you could do a coaster with those little bikes, you know? I mean, you could. It just would have to be a smaller footprint, you know? But that would be pretty badass.
Yeah.
Call me crazy, but I'd like to see a Deadpool / Wolverine ride.
Oh, that would be interesting.
Rated R,
and you
right?
What? I'm sorry.
Rated R.
There you go. Exactly. But you see, that's the thing with California Adventure, though. You can kind of get away with that a little more so.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know,
alcohol license.
Yeah.
I think if you guys brought Deadpool and Wolverine into that area, especially if it's based off of the actors, big money.
Oh, you said big money, man. What's going on?
Brand new hundreds, got a bunch of zeros like a bag of new Funyuns.
Yeah, but I think you're right though. They got to get into that. I mean, the MCU in general need to get into the X-Men right away. They need it. Yeah. And you bring that stuff into the parks, it would do huge business.
So let me ask you this, Candid, because you think like deep in thought and all this, and you come up with some badass shit.
He does.
So take the back lot out. Say that does expand out to Marvel, as you say, and even take out Grizzly Peak, just reskinning it. In your mind, if there was another option to still put Pandora in DCA, what would you suggest?
Besides the Grizzly Peak area, you said, right?
Right.
And besides that weird little corner.
Right.
Only other spot you can do is near that Maliboomer, the old Maliboomer spot. All that Cocoa area. Excuse me. Did I say that? All the area that should have been fucking.
Oh,
Cocoa.
is that another leak?
Right. Oh my bad. Come on, why can't we get some fucking cocoa?
We need.
Not only that, all those food trucks sell a shitload of money, or dude, shitload of money. We don't need to drop. They have this whole like month of heritage, and not only that, you're in the middle of fucking LA. How much more do you think you can do? Come on,
Oh, dude. I'm telling you, a little Mexican village out there in California Adventure, like a Coco little village, where you can have like little street vendors. You can have it could be like DCA's New Orleans Square, really like cozy kind of vibes. Oh, it'd be so good.
like they were pushing like for a Coco Land and an Encanto Land beyond Big Thunder, which would still be cool. But like, damn, like they got it on the wrong coast there. Like both of those franchises would kick ass at DCA.
Well, and maybe they're kind of beta testing that because, like Candid said, there is some Coco over there. That's where they put the Coco stuff, and they even do the three Caballeros over there during the holidays. So maybe they're beta testing like a Latin area. Disney does that a lot. What was that? I'm sorry.
They have a margarita stand over there.
They do.
You don't just put a margarita stand somewhere without making a point.
Exactly. Exactly. You know,
and
they're making moves
too. Those are what the other rides right there could be rethemed. You can even retheme Goofy Sky School to something else if you wanted to. Easily, like that could be one of those weird right.
Please,
dude, Death Trap. But anyways, I think that area could be used if you wanted to. Weirdly, but that's the only other spot that's big enough. The thing is that once again, it's going to be sightline. You're going to see that from every single angle of that park once you open up.
So, Kendall, let me ask you this. Do we know for a fact that if they do put it in an Avatar land that it's going to be a duplication of what they have over there? Or is that just an assumption that we're making?
I don't think
they never really confirmed either way.
And I don't think it would be.
So they could do a Way of Water land that's completely based off of low level water attractions, and we could be completely shooting in the dark.
Which I hope that's what they do.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's what I wish they would do. I don't want to see an exact replica.
We need people eaters, dude, especially with the way these fucking parks are packed like that. People eaters.
I would like to see a roller coaster that's really low to the water. Something very similar to like let's say Hagrid's motorbike that has a lot of turns, but really low to the water. And then when it gets, when it does its turns, like kicks up water to the left and the right side. And, it simulates riding on one of these water banshees that the aquatic Navi had. I think that'd be a really cool idea. They could just make it a short 60-second roller coaster.
Have you been to SeaWorld Orlando, Slimer?
Yeah.
So they have that Journey to Atlantis ride, which I believe is like a mock. Was it mock rides? Even something like that. I mean, obviously more Disney based and more themed, but you can do that concept too if you really wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing too. A lot of people I think are kind of missing here, and I'm glad you brought that up, Slimer. Is that people are assuming that it's going to be a carbon copy of what Florida has? It probably won't be. It's probably.
No, probably not, and I hope not. I think that there's a lot more creative flexibility if they say, "Hey, let's play with this new movie," because the last land was based off of the last movie. So why would you make another land based off of the last movie?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, Slimer, because that was actually Cameron's notion. Disney was ready to expand the one in Animal Kingdom, and Cameron stopped them dead in their tracks and said, "You know what? I got 4 more movies or 5 more movies coming out. It's like you're going to have more if you expand it out now, then you're not going to you're going to shortchange yourself." So
let me ask you this, George: do we get 5 different spots in both parks?
That's what I was thinking.
Oh.
I mean, if they all hit, how much did that last movie do?
$2 billion.
$2 billion.
Yeah, I mean, who the fuck cares at that point, right?
Can I
redeem the whole fucking park?
And we also have to think too, Bob Iger is getting criticized for overspending on buying Fox, right? And Avatar was part of that overspend. So he spent about $70 billion on Fox, right? So he's going to have to justify that. So how do you do that? You start building theme park stuff. You invest in this and say, hey, look, I spent $70 billion, but look, what did we get out of it? We got these great new lands. It's bringing theme park. We're getting a ton of theme park revenue, stuff like that. So that's a big part of the equation too. And I think Iger, he can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. He can bring a lot of people into the parks, and he can justify his overspending for Fox.
Can I ask you a quick question?
People like Avatar, which is a plus.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Go ahead, Tom.
So Bob Iger actually announced the Avatar experience in D23, right?
It was
the
actually
shareholders meeting.
Yeah, it was a quarterly earnings call. I think it was like in January or February.
Was it the quarterly?
Yeah.
I thought it was the shareholders meeting.
or maybe it's sure. Yeah, it was one of those
the
earnings
two.
calls.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I
it
think
was at one of
earnings
those.
call from what I read.
Yeah.
It was like, but when he said it was going to be it was like a version of Pandora. Was that a better version or just like a, you know, ramped up version of it?
He said it was going to be an Avatar experience, and then a D23 made a post, like the D23, the official thing from Disney, made a post about it, and they were saying in that article that it will be as amazing as the one in Florida.
So the only thing that could make the only way this can be better is if they actually made that water ride what it's supposed to be. I can't remember the name of it. That's how horrible it is. I can't remember the name. The one in Avatar.
Water ride.
Yeah, what's the water ride where you're?
Oh, the Navi River.
Navi
yeah,
River,
that's it.
Oh.
That thing is that is a doo-doo ride, but the animatronic is gorgeous. So if they brought, what would your thoughts be of them bringing the original concept of that to the park somewhere?
I'd be really disappointed. I think there's so many different. Like while he was just asking what kind of concept they're going to utilize for the Avatar land, I was thinking about how they could incorporate the Space 220 effect of going to the space station.
That'd be cool.
How they could do it the reverse, where like you go in, but instead of taking you to space, it takes you to some like an underwater scientific observatory that studies the Navi from the water, for example. So it's the inverse. And then that is what leads to the ride. And then the ride is an underwater ride that surfaces, or like let's say on the surface level, they have the, I guess they're called the Navi, but the Navi that live over the water. They're not the forest Navi. I can't remember what they were called in the movie. But you could have you could have a restaurant on those bungalows that they used to live in. You could have a restaurant in one of those bungalows over the water. Right. And when you're in the restaurant, you're on the water. You're like over it. You know what I mean? I mean, there's so much creative opportunity, and they have done so much with new attractions and new ways of creating the illusion of doing something that's otherworldly. From the last time they did the Avatar attraction to now, I don't want to see anything that they did prior to 2017 in this new land, really, to be honest with you. That's so much out there.
That's super fair, Slimer, and I think you're on the same page. I think James Cameron's gonna expect the same.
What about? Sorry, OG.
Yeah,
I was thinking about when he was saying underwater. The only thing that kept coming to my mind is that Pirates ride. Remember where they dip them down on that, and they had
in Shanghai.
Yeah,
oh yeah,
that's badass, and you can get away with that easily. Or the other thought was,
fuck yeah, dude,
tubes. Kind of like a tube, and just have water running over the tubes at all times, and then you said, having those restaurants on top could also be something cool, and then people can still walk on. Oh man, just be able to walk on that and seeing the fucking ride underneath your feet would be
see, and
cool.
that's the creativity that James Cameron has, and that's where I feel like Grizzly Peak is like dead in the water, no pun intended, for me as far as for Avatar, because he's not just going to go for a simple reskin. If he does agree to that, I'd be shocked to high heaven and high hell.
That's what we got to look at too. Where's all that money coming from, and what are they taking? Like, what are they getting rid of, or what are they taking it away from to give to Cameron to do this? And what are we losing?
Well, I'm assuming that would, as far as the money goes, I still think that would be. What was that?
Do you think that's Tiana? Do you think we're losing the money that should have went to Tiana to help fund this Cameron?
I don't think so. I think the money that was already kind of in Tiana is already there, but they just kind of...
It's already spent, basically. They're already building it.
It's already done. I think as far as moving forward with Avatar, I think that it's probably going to go towards what they already had the funds for ready for, like, possibly for Disneyland Forward. Because Avatar 3 comes out December 19th of 25. Okay. So... I mean, if they're going to hype this up, to pretty much kind of have it like back end, if they're going to promote number 3, possibly number 4, depending on how long it's going to take for them to actually even officially announce where this thing's actually going to go. But all that creative stuff, that is like the mindset of James Cameron. And I feel like that's where he's going to push. He'd rather, I mean, look how long it's taken him to even make these movies, because he's so meticulous and so into that. If he's gonna give out a product, he wants it pristine.
Did you guys know that 4 out of 5 of the top grossing movies of all time are James
Yeah.
Cameron films?
Yeah.
How fucking crazy is that, dude? Like,
Titanic.
Jesus Christ.
It's wild. Go ahead, Tones. I think you want to say
No,
something.
yeah, I was just saying, is it weird that they're labeling it an experience and not a land
the
or a
whole-
ride?
That's the whole thing behind it.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
is
what
it gonna-
people are saying, because they're saying experience. They're not saying ride or land. People are thinking it's going to be more like an exhibit. Now, here's the thing with that, though. For me, I don't think it will be. I think they're saying experience because they don't want to show their hand. Maybe I think it will be, though, a land eventually. But I think that because he said it in the earnings call, it's a big deal. Like, they don't announce Moana Journey of Water in an earnings call. That's a small thing. You don't do that in that setting. That's a Disney Parks blog post. You know,
Yep.
For him to do it in that setting, on that call, I think it has to be something significant. And I don't know. I don't know what angle they're going with it, but I think it's going to be something significant. And they keep hyping it too much.
I'll tell you what angle they're going to go with, man. James Cameron's going to slap his T1000 liquid metal dick on the table.
Yes.
Here's new land.
Yeah, exactly. Well, hey, you know what? When he does that, they better take heed, because, you know, I mean, this guy. I mean, everyone was laughing at Cameron. Like, there's no way Water's going to make its money back. No one likes Avatar anymore. That thing made like $2 billion.
And he tested that too by re-releasing the first film,
Mhm.
and that made fucking extra money on top of that. I mean, this guy's like invincible. He literally is the king of the world. I mean,
If,
it's like, damn.
If we were going to go experience wise, thoughts on was it Innovations or Innovate? Yeah, Innovations.
Yeah. Well, now it's Star Wars Launch Bay, but yeah, that same building.
Yeah.
I think that would probably make the most sense, just to keep it out of the way for a little while until they figure something out.
Okay, well, I'm glad you brought that up, because now today they made the announcement that they're kind of maneuvering all shit around over at DCA. Lo and behold, one day after that it gets leaked of Avatar, that the what is it called, the Imagination Campus that's the Blue Sky Cellar is now moving.
I'll set the table and we'll talk about this, because we were going to talk about it anyway. This is pretty interesting stuff. So this is in California Venture, though, right? Scott Gooston again says here, the Blue Sky Cellar at DCA will be transformed into a DVC Club Welcome Home Center. Disneyland says more information will be shared at a later date. Here's where it gets spicy, though, everybody. Here's where it gets spicy. Disney Imagination Campus will move from the Blue Sky Cellar to the Beast Library in the Disney Animation Building in Hollywoodland, right? It says here the last day for guests to experience Beast Library will be on December 10th. Now, I had no idea what the Imagination Campus was, and there's probably a good reason for that. When I looked into it, it's not really for the average guest, from what I understand. This is the press release on the wall on the Disney Company website. The Disney Imagination Campus launches to teach critical skills and encourage career exploration. Okay, so it says here, I'm going to go ahead and read this to you real quick. It says here, Disney Parks is launching a reimagined line of educational experience for student groups that will harness beloved Disney franchises, including yada, 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 to supercharge the imaginations of students and inspire their career ambitions. So this seems like a cast member, employee kind of thing. They're replacing this thing in the animation building with. Now that's interesting. Now, George, do you like that idea? Now that you know what, because we were talking about earlier, we're like, what the hell is the Imagination Campus? We didn't even know.
I can't really say that I like or dislike that notion. I find it kind of bizarre. But yet I wonder if it's telling of like what is the real meaning behind it, because that they would set the table up for something like this one day after the Avatar notion got leaked. And kind of going back to what Candid Camper was saying, you know, as far as like, are they going to do anything with Hollywoodland? This is very telling as to, is this the start that they're kind of dismantling that animation building to kind of get something ready for something bigger, so to speak? You're
kind of systematically removing guest facing things, right? So this is going to be closed off to guests. I'm assuming it seems like it's a cast member thing. It's about career exploration,
which And this area is like sort of like a walking path through that building where they have different sections that you can kind of visit. So to kind of throw that in there,
Right.
it's going to kind of be like sticking out like a sore thumb. So I feel like that this isn't just the last of it that we're going to hear from that animation building.
No, and here's the thing too: is I'm telling you, and this might be I don't know, this might be a little controversial, but I think that animation building is not long on this planet. I do believe that Disney is looking at that building. It's a massive building that you can literally fit a dark ride in there. Okay, it's huge. I'm telling you. I mean, I can see them putting a Marvel ride in there or something like that. I don't see the animation building in 10 years. I'm calling it now. I don't think it'll be there. It'll be something totally different.
I agree.
Do you think that could potentially be for the e-ticket for Marvel?
No, because they have that land right behind Mission Breakout, and they already have that store that sits in front of it.
That's on that. Okay.
Yeah, they have that already set. This might be a completely different. Maybe it'll be a different Marvel ride. Maybe it'll be something else. But I think they're going to want to utilize it in a different way. And I think it's been sort of. I remember years ago, like maybe even a decade now, that they were worried about the. They weren't getting enough people in this animation building, and they added, if I'm not mistaken, correct me in the comments, they added turnstiles to measure the crowd flow in this building because they were considering taking it out about a decade ago. So it's on the chopping block. It's been on the chopping block for quite a long time. I think this is a bad sign for the animation building.
Because for each section that's in that building, they have like the animation academy thing where they teach you how to draw specific characters. You have the Beast Library.
Isn't that where Crush is?
Yes.
I was just going to say Turtle Talk with Crush. Then you have that giant, massive sort of like lounge area with those oversized screens with all the rest chairs. I mean, it's definitely a place to go in to kind of beat the heat and take a little nap. I will say that. But
there's a cool gift shop in there too, where they have all those like more antique kind of stuff too, which is really cool. You won't find pretty much anywhere else.
Off the page,
right?
Yes, yeah, exactly. That place is cool.
All the expensive shit, it's like they got some nice stuff in there though. They got some nice stuff. Now, Tonez, have you been in the animation building in Hollywoodland? Do you remember when you went? Because I know you've only been a couple times. So I mean,
I didn't even know. I was gonna say earlier. I didn't even know this was here. I have no idea where this is at.
You wouldn't unless you went in. Like literally, there's nothing like you wouldn't know unless you went in there. You're like, oh fuck, this is a big ass building.
Oh, it's huge. Like Tonez, I'm telling you, you could fit a massive ride in there. It's so big.
Yeah. Now, is this something that people want to be taken out? Or is it?
I really don't think people would really care, to be honest with you.
You think so, George? I think that okay, let me put it this way. The normies, I don't think will care. The people in our community, like the Disney Twitter nerds.
I've seen a couple people say, oh man, what a bummer. So sad, this and that. But I usually see a lot more pushback.
Yeah. You don't think it would...
I don't see it being a big...
You don't think it would be... You don't think it would be drama?
Now, I do think it would be drama once they announce that the whole fucking thing's going. Then people will be like, oh, woe is me. I love the building and everything. And they didn't go into it for like fucking 10 years.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like the building, the animation building.
Oh, the actual whole... I'm sorry. I thought you were just talking about... No. Oh, the whole building. Yeah. Oh, yeah. People will probably be in a fucking uproar. There'll be a line at... passing Mission Breakout just to get into the building, the last leg of absolutely once they make that announcement that the whole building is going.
Yes. Yeah. So you're saying that would be drama?
That'd be drama. Yeah.
I bring all the drama, I bring drama, bring my girl.
There you go. I had to add my drama drop. I was trying to get it out of you, George.
You were like really pushing it, and I'm like, what the fuck is he doing? I'm like, oh shit, because you showed me that a couple days ago, and
I have a new drop, so I had to use it. But yeah, this is interesting moves though. Overall, like DCA, it seems like there's something going on at DCA. I don't know, like the whole Pandora thing is really weird. This whole thing with the Imagination Campus, really weird. Hey, and I'm a big advocate for DCA. I think the park has a lot of potential, and I think it's not living up to it. It really frustrates me that Disney puts all their eggs in the Disneyland basket. Like Disneyland is like the A+ student and gets fucking everything, and DCA gets like scraps most of the time, and it's frustrating. I mean, this is a park that sits in the shadow of Disneyland. I want it to be on par with that park. And a lot of times it isn't. So hopefully they have big plans for this park, and hopefully they go really ambitious. We'll see. And people say, I hear people on Twitter going, "Oh, it's like automatically because of DCA, it can't be like an ambitious thing." You can do an ambitious thing, like an Avatar thing, ambitiously in DCA, but you're going to have to put the money in, and you're going to have to really work it, you know?
Well, and it's just like what you told me earlier on the phone, OG, when you had mentioned that they even said when, in talks when Marvel was coming to DCA, just because it was DCA and it said it was going to replace a Bugs Land, that they were going to keep the Bugs Land attractions, but they were just going to retheme it to Marvel.
The fans were like, "Yeah, they're." I heard rumor that they're just going to turn like the Flip Flyers into like a Marvel thing. I'm like, "Come on, you guys, not gonna."
So, what are we doing with Mike and Sully to Rescue?
Well,
we ever thought about that? Like, it just sits and it does its own thing, which I love the ride.
I do too. I do love the ride. It's great. The location where it's placed it's weird. It's so bizarre. It has nothing to do even remotely to the theme of Hollywood. And then you have a whole entire pier that's dedicated to Pixar, and
that's why I kind of hope that they go your route with the Pandora thing, because that would make sense. And if you enter the Pandora through Hollywood Land, which would be right there with Monsters Inc., then Avatar makes a little more sense, because then it's kind of like Universal Studios, right? You have a bunch of Hollywood buildings, and you turn the corner into Wizarding World.
Do we
Same
need
shit
that, though? Do we need Hollywood Land? Does Hollywood Land generate revenue besides that weird store that no one goes in because it's like fucking 50s clothes?
Oh yeah.
And then you got Smoothies or Smoozes, whatever the fuck that place is called. I can't pronounce it. And then what's the last one? Award wieners that fucking have stale ass bread.
But here's the thing that I think, as far as the
award winners,
I think
what I call it.
Why'd you no, I was just laughing. I think it's a crazy name. But
wieners,
George stopped writing his tracks when I said award winners. Why, George? What's going on here, man?
I don't know. Like, I thought you had like something to say. It's like someone brought up award wieners. Like, I thought someone had a great pun or something.
Fuck award wieners. There you go.
But anyway.
Fucking eat their chili, dude.
Oh shit. Well, there you go, OG. You can clip that for fucking TikTok.
There you go. That's perfect. That's perfect.
But so I still think that the street of the street of Hollywood Land, I still think is going to be the divider. Okay. That if they were to put Pandora to the left of where the backlot is, that extends into the bus station, that's going to be the divider between Pandora and Marvel.
Interesting.
And because you have Marvel and you have Pandora, two Hollywood big franchises, and then you have the center where you'd have the Hyperion Theater, which is already going to hold Rogers the Musical. So there's your Marvel, and then it extends back to where Mission Breakout is.
What
and then
about
it goes into
a
the
facelift
campus.
though? Kind of going what actual Hollywood Land or Hollywood Studios had. Hollywood Studios. Yeah, Hollywood Studios has. Like they have all these different buildings that actually go back and bring you into the old films and old movies, where
that'd be cool.
Ours doesn't really have that. It's just they're mostly facades, by the way. I don't know if anyone ever noticed that.
Yeah,
like
and
two buildings.
They're facades, and and I'm probably gonna get heat for this. It's probably gonna be drama. I won't play the drama, but it'll probably be drama. I don't like the big painted building with the clouds. It looks cheap to me.
Black. Doesn't look real.
Yeah, come on. Put like real facades in this, and put
real
buildings.
Clouds. Fuck you guys.
Exactly. Yeah, they gotta fix. Hollywood Land's a fixer-upper. It really is DCA's Tomorrowland for sure.
Oh,
yeah.
That was harsh.
Speaking of Tomorrowland, let me ask you this, OG and Candid Camper, be that you guys are West Coasters. Tonez, you're West Coast too, right?
Yeah.
All right, yeah. So what if they just turned Tomorrowland into the Avatar Land? They just said fuck it.
Hey, as long as this mountain stays, that's whatever the fuck it's gonna be. I'm cool with it, man. I lost that soul, like that. Whatever was in me as a kid and for years and years has already fucking left. So I'm cool with that. Honey, I Shrunk the Audience is that. That's what I think it left me.
Yeah.
Well,
okay,
OG. No.
I was just say the only issue with that is what do you do with Space Mountain?
I know you level it. You love it.
Oh shit! Now you want to see? Okay. Oh no. Okay, I appreciate the balls of the wall slamming. Yeah. OG, you got to drop that fucking drama, because that's like.
I bring all the drama, I bring drama, bring my girls in the back, drama.
There we go. Drama. Yeah, no, that would be drama. I mean, that would be
It's
crazy.
such
And
a
then-
random fucking drop. I swear, OG. So
Bring
random.
'em. I gotta bring them. Oh, I got some crazy ones, Tones. I got some funny ones here.
Just what the fuck did he do?
I got some good ones.
That actually
that
fits
guy.
in well because that's probably what the fans would say once they walk into Tomorrowland and they see no fucking Space Mountain there.
Just fucking have it.
Just what the fuck did he do?
I don't know. And there's no like in my head, like I'm going like this, trying to figure out just some kind of comeback for you, Slimer. Just like, well, they could change Space Mountain into this. There's nothing.
Okay, I'll throw that in there to Slimer's point. Really, we're talking in today's time, but Disney is going to just keep on going, as they say, for the next 100 years. We hit the first 100. How really long are these older, original, traditional attractions really going to last? I mean, at some point,
They'll get IP'd.
Thank you.
They're gonna-
Thank you.
yeah.
That's where I'm at, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
Sure.
Disneyland can't be a historical landmark. I mean, it is a historical landmark by all
Yeah.
intents and purposes, but they can't have the same lands and attractions for the next 25 to 50 years. I just don't see it happening, man. I mean, at some point they're gonna have to rip Carousel of Progress out of Tomorrowland over here and put it in a fucking museum. Like, how many times does the hand have to come off of, the animatronic for them to be like, okay, I think this ride has had enough. I mean, this thing's been around since 1964. My mom went to the World's Fair in 1964 and saw the original fucking show. You know what I mean? So, like,
it's great. I saw it for the first time actually over there in Florida. I actually loved it. The only criticism I had of that attraction is the modern day scene. It didn't feel like modern day to me.
modern day scene.
Yeah, like what is this? Like, okay, it felt like the 90s version of the future or something.
Yeah. Grandma's playing a Nintendo Virtual Boy over there on the television.
I got my laser discs here.
Laser dicks.
I got my laser dicks.
Laser dicks are right next to those award wieners.
Yeah, exactly. And James Cameron's, thing on the table.
He'll show her the way of the water.
Yeah, exactly.
Slimer, going back
pisses
to going back to Space Mountain. If you were to put an IP over that and do a layover, who would you have? Who would you have it be inspired by?
Inspired by? That's a good question. So what I'm doing is I'm keeping the building, right?
Okay.
But I'm just doing a layover. Is that what you're asking?
Just a layover, just like what they did with the Star Wars, but it'll be a permanent layover.
Oh, a permanent layover. Okay. Yeah, that's a really good question. Wow. So my initial answer, like if I were just to answer you right now, it'd be Spaceballs.
Oh, Spaceballs.
I would have Jews in space, man. I would have the flying stars of David and everything, man.
That'd be fucking dope as hell, man. I'm a huge Mel Brooks fan, so like
plaid speed all the way, man.
That'd be great. That'd be fantastic.
It's not a serious answer, but that was like you said that, and all of a sudden, like Mel Brooks popped into my head. So I was just like, okay, Spaceballs.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. No, but in seriousness, I don't know, man. Like maybe I'd figure out like some way to get SpaceX involved. Bring in like how they have Chevrolet pay for test track. Maybe I'd bring Tesla over and have some kind of like mission to.
So you would go that
Mars.
route, not an actual. Not like Buzz Lightyear's Space Mountain, or
I'm so tired of Buzz Lightyear, man. They have Buzz Lightyear over here in Tomorrowland, and it doesn't make any sense. I can't wait for the right to lead Tomorrowland over here. It's just it creates such a convoluted storyline.
What about Stitch? Space Mountain with Stitch.
Now we have Stitch over here too. I mean, nobody cares.
I don't like the cartoony stuff in Tomorrowland for some reason. Like the buzz.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
it just feels weird.
Yeah.
Feels weird.
Totally off subject. Did you guys hear about the live action Moana that The Rock's gonna do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think about that, Thomas? Because the animated movie came out in 2016. It's not even that old, and now they're remaking it.
If anyone was gonna play, it's either gonna be him or Jason Momoa. Yeah, one of the two. So
they'll both play the same character.
I know, right? I mean, I wouldn't mind it. It'd be fun to, I guess, watch them try to play that character.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know, man. The Snow White movie's coming out pretty soon here, and I hope with the live action films they just come full circle and end where they began. To be honest with you,
Do you think if it falls flat in their face, they're going to be done with these for a while?
Snow White, yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
I think
They'll
they'll
pull back.
finish up. I think they'll finish up what's already like in the canon already.
Who's left?
Oh,
Well,
they have-
Moana. They'll finish up Moana, but I
Well,
think
then they have-
honestly,
Then they have the Mufasa, the Lion King prequel. I can't even believe that came out of my mouth. But that's actually a thing.
yeah, it is.
No
Yes, it
way.
is.
Yes, it is.
I got to see actually a sneak peek of it when I was at the expo.
How was it?
They're actually Rafiki, Timon, and Pumbaa are actually going to narrate. They're going to be narrators as the story of going back in time when Mufasa was a cub, and how he got to go to how he found his way into Pride Rock, and I believe it actually shows his father and how he was king and how he went on the journey to become king himself and yada yada yada. But I think honestly, to the question, I feel like they're going to finish up what they have if Snow White is a big blunder, which I'm for sure. I hate to be a negative Nancy, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
But I think that whatever they'll finish, I don't necessarily know if they'll even spend the time to even release it in theaters. It may just be like
Disney
straight
Plus.
to Disney Plus.
Disney Plus.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what's weird is these sequels and prequels used to be direct to DVD, and now they're mainstream films. And I like at this point, like anytime they announce a movie like this, where it's like, "Whoa, we're gonna follow Mufasa when he was younger. It's gonna be narrated by Timon and Pumbaa." Like the first thing that comes to mind for me is Troy McClure, attorney at law in The Simpsons. He's like, "Hi, I'm Troy McClure, attorney at law. You might remember me from such films as," and then he just names obscure titles of films. You're just like, "Is this where Disney's going? Like, are they just making Troy McClure films?"
Hey, you know what? The Simpsons predict pretty much everything, so it's like
They do. Yeah. Now I got one final topic for us. This is a little off the beaten path a little bit, but I saw this going around on Twitter, so I'm like, I think it'd be fun to ask the guys. So what are you convinced people are pretending to enjoy? So something, basically what it's asking is like something that's out there that everyone seems to love, but you think everyone's kind of full of crap, right? They don't really love it. What are your thoughts, Candid? I'll start with you.
Well, I feel like everyone's mind just went to the same place because we're funny people. But something everyone thinks that they
And don't say. Don't
I'm
say,
not gonna say it.
right.
I'm not gonna say it. So something I think everyone pretends that they enjoy. I could say Disneyland.
Oh,
I really could say that
oh,
because it's more of a nostalgia thing. Like, do we really like it? Are we really obsessed with it? Do we really need to go? I mean, obviously, the answer is yes.
yes,
But if
yes,
you look
and
at
yes.
it through a big picture of it, some people might pretend to like it. There's a lot of posers out there.
Yeah.
A lot of Disney posers.
And actually, I have mine. Believe it or not, I think vlogging. I think a lot of vloggers.
Your cousin Drama George?
I'm going there. I'm going.
Call
balls
them
to the
out.
wall.
Who is it? Who do you think, George?
Who it is? Who
That
it is? No, dude.
there's quite a few. I feel like that there's a facade of vloggers and people that do YouTube and what have you, that they act like they're having fun, they act like they enjoy it, but then there are times where it's like I actually physically look at some of these vloggers at special events and in the parks, and they look fucking miserable. Like they don't like, and it's like they only kind of like deal with their own like inner circle people, and they don't talk to anybody else. It's like it almost looks depressing. But yet when that camera goes on, it's like, hey, I'm going to show you this dessert for the 15th fucking time, and I'm going to tell you how great it tastes, and it's like, oh, this is so good, and then the camera goes off, and it's like then I try it, and it tastes like shit.
Now, Slimer, what are you convinced people are pretending to enjoy? Like something that everyone says they love it, but really deep down they don't.
Yeah.
See, just say it. Someone has to say it.
Oh man, I don't know, man. I mean, how dark do we want to get?
It's up to you.
Let's go as dark as the Italiano coming back from a days of. No, fuck that. Let's go OG coming back from Florida Dark.
There you go. Yeah, I was pretty scared.
Nah, I don't think I'm gonna go that dark. I don't know, man. Like something convinced people are pretending to enjoy. Wow, there's a lot of things that I think people convince themselves that they're pretending to enjoy. How about just scrolling on social media? I think that's one that people don't
good one.
necessarily enjoy, but they just do because they're addicted to it.
Yeah, and that's a source of a lot of stress for people. Everybody, really. I mean, that's stressful. Mine is gonna be interesting. Actually, it's kind of not too dissimilar from Candid Campers, but it's a different park. In our community, in our little Diz Twitter world, I'm saying Universal. I think people kind of overblow how fun it is because they're mad at Disney. So it's like so it's almost like you're trying to make your ex jealous. Like
Revenge sex.
Yes, it's revenge sex. Like, oh, see, I'm with the new chick now, right?
Oh, that's the best kind.
Yeah. I think there's an element there, at least in our little bubble. The normies are not like that, but in our little bubble, I think that's the case.
Yeah.
But is that someone's first thought though? OG's like when you have living in California, you have all these parks off of Highway 5 you can go to.
Right.
Does anyone really sit there and be like, oh, I'm going to go to Universal? They're most likely like, I'm going to go to Disneyland and then I'm going to branch off to Universal.
Yeah, it kind of is like that secondary thing. Like people kind of like it's an add-on. It's not necessarily like we're going for that,
Exactly. Knott's Berry is like the fuck. I almost got myself canceled. Knott's Berry Farm is the other friend that's there at the party.
I see what you're saying here.
Knott's Berry's. He's the third. Was hey, can I come on, hang out too, guys? Come on, guys. Come on.
She's the one that likes the sriracha. Let's put that way.
Okay. yeah, George knows about that.
All too well.
Yeah. So Knott's is like the girl you kind of maybe like it's a little fling. I'll say it respectfully.
We'll go with that one. We'll go with that.
We'll go with fling.
Side piece.
We'll go with that too.
And then you got Universal, who is like, okay, maybe girlfriend material, You
got Magic Mountain's the one I owe you.
Yeah, you might want to
take one for the team.
Magic Mountain. I don't know what with that. I don't know.
Magic Mountain's the one you wear a condom for.
Right. I was gonna say that.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't know.
I was gonna say Magic. I'm gonna say Magic Mind. That's the one you go to a clinic afterwards.
For sure.
Because the condom broke.
Yeah. And Disneyland's the chick you marry. That's the one. That's the one. The chick who's making like $100,000 a year, and she's like a 10 out of 10.
She's the chick you marry that has all the psychological issues.
That's great. That's great. Oh my god. Well, fellas, it's always a blast with you guys. I love you guys so much, man.
That's literally where we're going to end it.
We're going to end it on a parable.
Exactly. That's where you got to end it. You got to leave it on a high note, George.
That is true. Yeah,
that's a high note.
A high note.
Got to give people something to think about when they go to bed tonight.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to clip that, by the way, because you're gonna have people thinking really hard, like, "Fuck, who is my number one?" So, people, if you want to leave a comment down below, and those 4 parks, who would you marry? Who would you have as a girlfriend? Who would you just fuck? And then who would you just
have to fuck one, marry one, kill one? In the comments below.
We know what it is.
There you go.
We're doing fuck, marry, kill with rides. What are we doing here, guys?
That's crazy. That is crazy. Well, the Italiano, Citrus George, if you could let everybody at home know where they could find you on social media.
Absolutely. And after this show, I don't know if you're going to want to, but anyways, if you do want to find me, you can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You could also now find me on Instagram. Under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you'll find me here on my home base at Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner, with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info.
There we go. And Slimer, if you could let everybody at home know. Well, you don't have social media, but you're on our show. So if you want to remind everybody what you do here at OG55, and so they can say hi to you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a commentator here on Orange Grove 55. You can find me on Orange Nerds, and you can find me with Citrus George on Citrus Corner. And I'll also be in the live chats, guys. And I am the live version of Slimer. I'm Slimer before he died. So if you ever wonder what he looked like, it's me.
There you go. Exactly. There you go. So if we made a movie, it would be this. It would be the Slimer prequel starring you.
Exactly.
There we go.
Yeah,
See,
that's exactly it.
there we
Or
go.
told by Timon and Pumbaa.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm the direct to DVD Ghostbusters movie.
That's great. That's great. Oh, here we gotta play the drop. Here we go.
And all these dollars got commas that come with commas behind them. And all my slammers be slamming them. And all my slammers be slamming them. And all my slammers be slamming them. And all my slammers be slamming.
There we go.
That's right. Get slimed, Universal.
There we go. Get slimed. Get slimed. And then down below, we got the one and only Tonez. Tonez, it is always a pleasure, sir. If you could let everybody at home know where they can find you on social media.
Yeah, man. Thanks again for having me. You can
Absolutely.
find me at Tonez_TV on all platforms, and follow the podcast, Bad Thoughts Podcast, at YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. Also, we're gonna have these boys, OG 55 crew, on our channel. Once we hit 100, we're gonna be doing a live episode. So tune into that as well. All right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So follow these gentlemen on social media. Of course, I will be linking it down below. Candid Camper, always a pleasure, sir. If you could let everybody at home know where they can find you on social media.
Of course, thank you guys. The Candid Camper on all platforms. The Candid Camper with an extra R on Instagram, and then you can find us on Spotify at the Bad Thoughts Podcast. We have some other stuff coming up too. I'm not going to leak it here because that's not what we do on the OG 55 stuff. But keep an eye out, and you're going to love it.
You
Promise.
save
There you
that
go.
for Magic Mountain.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you're not WDI, so you don't leak anything, right? You're not you're not leaking any DCA news or anything like that, Well, I want to thank everybody at home for tuning in to this episode of OG 55. Comment down below with everything we talked about, like literally everything. We want to hear your thoughts on who would you marry, who would you date. Down below in the comments. We would love to hear from you. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye, everybody.